Yeah, keep your comments and your views coming into us here on the programme. We're live with you from the Rose Hotel in Tralee. It's a pre-election forum of candidates for the Tralee Electoral Area, organised by the Tralee Chamber Alliance with the support of Casey Stephenson Accountants. And I have my first 6 candidates with me on our stage here in the Rose Hotel before our live audience. We have Pat Daly of Sinn Féin, Norma Foley of Fianna Fáil, Bridget O'Brien, who's running for Fine Gael, Ben Slim of Labour, Sam Locke, Independent, and Anne-Marie Fuller of the Green Party. How it's going to work is we're going to talk to a number of different issues that have been submitted in advance by members of the public and businesses in Tralee as to what they want answered from the candidates, looking for your number 1s out there and your number 2s and your number 3s and everything else like that. We're going to start by giving each candidate 1 minute to put their case forward as to why you should vote for them. I'll start with Norma Foley of Fianna Fáil. Norma.
Thanks, Jerry. Good morning. As a public representative, I am committed to providing positive, proactive leadership. A leadership that can be trusted and a voice you can depend on to represent your interests and vision. Constituents know firsthand of my strong work ethic, dogged determination and resolve to pursue an issue, objective or agenda until it is achieved. I believe in the power and the value of community. As a public representative, I strive to nurture, foster and grow a sense of belonging, inclusion and opportunity for all. It has been my privilege as Councillor, Mayor of Tralee and currently Mayor of Kerry to represent the people of Tralee and Kerry both at home and abroad in a professional, proficient and progressive manner. I offer myself to the electorate as a candidate of experience, energy and enthusiasm. I stand on a record of effective and committed representation and earnestly seek your number 1 vote on the 24th of May so that I might continue to work for you and with you to best serve and shape the Tralee Municipal District.
We're out of time on that one. We're going to go next to Ben Slim of the Labour Party. Ben.
Hi Jerry, my name is Ben Slim and I'm a first-time candidate running in the Tralee Municipal District. I grew up in Tralee in Cushquilla on the Clean Road and I attended primary school in the CBS Clownlar and the Green. I served 2 terms at the IT Tralee Students' Union as IT Tralee Students' Union President, and I represented a body of 3,500 students, and my job there was to better their experience in Tralee, but at the time I noticed that our generation had no representation on Kerry County Council. I decided to run because I believe we need a strong new voice on Kerry County Council, someone who's passionate about our beautiful town, but at the same time aware of the challenges we face as we compete with our nearest neighbours. I believe I'm the right candidate to represent the people of our town, and if elected, my priorities would be working with Kerry County Council to create a strategy for young people in our town, encouraging the local traders, community groups, Chamber Alliance and students to pull together in the same direction, making Tralee an attractive place for people to all live, work and study. To see more, to keep up with the campaign, you can look for Ben Slim on Facebook, and I'd really appreciate your number 1 vote on the 24th of May.
OK, Ben Slim of the Labour Party. Bridget O'Brien, Fine Gael.
I'm Dr. Bridget O'Brien. I'm a GP in Tralee for the past 30 years. And I would very much like to thank Fine Gael for inviting me to join their ticket. Every day you pick up the paper, you find there are more adverse comments on healthcare. It is not necessary. It can be fixed. The problems are obvious. The solutions are also obvious. If you walk into casualty, you will find yourself with maybe 50, 60 people, everybody sick. It makes no sense to leave that number of people ill and contaminating each other. You go into the casualty and you put on a trolley. You'll be lucky if you get a pillow, and that's fact. Then you go up to the wards if you're lucky. Up there are 6-bedded wards. There are 3 men and 3 women in almost all of them. Has anybody checked? Do people actually want that? Do they want to be in single-sex wards, or do they all want 3 and 3? And if you're 3 and 3, you finish up with all the screens pulled. Then at the end of the day, if you go home...
I'm going to have to stop you there. That's your 1 minute up, I'm afraid. We'll talk a bit more about those issues a little bit later on. We have Sam Locke, Independent Councillor, up next. Sam.
Good morning, Johnny. I've been an elected member of Kerry County Council for the last 5 years. 5 years previous to that, I've been a member of Tralee Urban District Council as an independent voice in Tralee and in the Chamber. For that period of time, I've been strong, outspoken and making daily representation on behalf of the constituents of the Tralee Municipal District. Businesses included, where I've had, I suppose, on a day-to-day basis, where I hold clinics in the town centre and taking the representation and operating on day-to-day basis, I try and respond to people on a day-to-day basis with that. big issues that come up in Chamber regarding the town of Tralee and its surrounds, there we take advantage collectively, and we work collectively as one voice inside in Kerry County Council for the people of Tralee. And going forward on that, I need your number one vote to continue that strong independent voice and making representation for you. Thank you.
Okay, that's Sam Locke, independent candidate. We also have Anne-Marie Fuller, who's running for the Green Party. Anne-Marie.
I want to help transform the Tralee area to make it an even better place for us to live and work and people to visit. There's a climate emergency. We have 11 years left to significantly reduce our carbon emissions, or else we're going to be in trouble. Our future generations are going to be in trouble. The EU and the government, the national government, are going to make available millions and billions of euro of funding for climate action. This is actually an enormous opportunity for us here in Tralee to actually get that funding to Tralee, to make Tralee a better place, to create more jobs and to build a sustainable future for ourselves here in Tralee. I want Kerry County Council to lead on those funding applications. But to do that and to be successful with those funding applications, they need to work with local businesses and businesses in Europe. They need to work with communities and with academia. I actually have a lot of direct experience working in academia, with communities and in business.
Okay, all right, we're going to have to leave it there. That's your minute up. Anne-Marie, thanks very much for that. That's the 1 minute pitch from all our candidates. You're listening to Kerry Today. We're here at the Rose Hotel in Tralee at the pre-election board. Sorry, apologies, I forgot the man at the very end of the line here.
Sinn Féin been excluded again.
Lest I be accused of excluding anyone, God forbid Sinn Féin even. Yes. Pat Daly, your 1 minute.
Yeah, my hometown faces challenges on a number of fronts. The abolition of town councils and outsourcing of social housing to the market has put extra pressure on already lengthy housing lists and also resulted in antisocial behaviour. We lost hundreds of good public sector jobs in this town since the crash. The government's spatial strategy of prioritising Cork, Limerick and Waterford is practically silent on Kerry and has left this side of Kerry behind. Some councillors believe in putting further stress on middle income earners already burdened by USC by increasing property tax in their homes. I don't. Some believe in exaggerating levels of crime in this county to gain publicity and consequently damage the name and reputation of this town. I don't. While finally the idea is delivered on the Advanced Technology Park, can we rely on them or the current government to help Tralee? Despite local opposition, the court service have given up on the redevelopment of the courthouse on Ash Street because no one in government has demanded otherwise. While the priority is to keep it in the town centre, we're losing an opportunity. I want a town centre with more jobs and more people working. We need to sit down, I think, with the HSE and the ETB and develop office space together in the Denny site to keep more people working in the town. I think we need more walkways, especially urban walkways. And I will fight for the common good of all residents of this town, but I'm here to listen.
All right, that's Sinn Féin's Pat Daly. If you have any views for us or comments for us, get them into us on the programme on 06671 23666. You can text or WhatsApp us on 083 300 3300. We're going to hear from those candidates now. We're going to get into some of the issues. We'll get to all of that after we take these. Yeah, we're here at the pre-election forum organised by the Tralee Chamber Alliance with support from Casey Stephenson Accountants in the Rose Hotel in Tralee. I have 6 of the candidates who are looking for your votes in the Tralee Electoral Area to talk to this morning. We'll have another 6 in a couple of minutes' time, but we're going to continue now with Pat Daly of Sinn Féin, Norma Foley of Fianna Fáil, Bridget O'Brien of Fine Gael, Ben Slim from Labour, Sam Locke, Independent, and Anne-Marie Fuller of the Green Party. Now, one of the most contentious issues over the years in Tralee, one of the issues that goes central trying to get people into the town and to see it as a quality destination to do your shopping or do your business, indeed, is parking. Parking enforcement rules and costs are affecting town centre trade. What will you do on this issue? Pat Daly, I'll start with you.
Thanks, Jerry. Well, I'm not really sure. I read the question, the pre-prepared question was there, and I'm just wondering where is it actually coming from? Is there a demand that parking fees be abolished completely? Because if there is, I don't think that would work in any event. We have trialled on a number of occasions free parking in the run-up to Christmas, which has been, I would say, of a limited success. When you have it for a few hours in part of the day. I'm not in favour of abolishing parking fees, but at certain times of year, yes.
You think you would be arguing for, look, let's tailor it the best way we can to make sure that people don't, and it's the unique circumstances of Tralee we're talking about here. And maybe not unique, but the circumstances of a large, very successful out-of-town centre on the edge of town with free parking versus the businesses and the retailers in the town centre saying, look, it's an issue for us. People saying, look, we can go there and park for free rather than going to town centre.
Well, the parking on Rock Street where I am is 60 cents per hour, and if you're going into town to do your shopping, that's not going to break you. But the experience that I have heard back from business people in the town that I've spoken to is that if you have free parking all day, it's the employees that come in and they take up the parking space early in the morning, or they move their car, and will it bring more people into town by having free parking? I don't believe it will.
Would you be concerned about the loss of revenue to the council if you were to drop the parking?
Well, council management certainly will be anyway, and they'll do everything in their power to block that happening.
Okay, Sam Locke, same question to you. What will you do in relation to concerns about parking in the town centre?
As Pat rightly said, it's a complicated issue. We have 3,000 parking spaces inside in the town, and it's very accessible. In relation to the Brandon car park, there are two various sections of the Brandon car park that's available: long-term parking and short-term parking. And it's quite close to the town centre in relation to anyone that wants to come in and shop inside there. There are facilities there at the back. We have the lease time parking at the rear of many businesses inside there, and it is quite a busy parking lot as well. But in relation to the parking charges, yes, management would say that they rely on that to run through our budgets and things like that, and for the running of services inside in the town. As we've all collated there over periods, and the Christmas period more significantly, where we do allow a certain number of hours of free parking, and that's advantageous to the shoppers coming into the town. But realistically, we do have to have that kind of minimum charge unless we start opening up the place, and Denny's site is not going to be a parking bay.
Okay, Ben Slim, what's your response to that query?
Yeah, so I suppose I'm in favour of parking charges. I think we do have to charge for parking to make sure that parking is used effectively. But I'm not hearing any solutions as to how we actually go about. If the traders in Tralee are telling us that parking is the issue, then I believe we need to listen to them. And I think very simply, Jerry, there's towns around Kerry, around Ireland, that we can look to for leadership on this. If we look at Castle Island, if we look at Ballincollig, they've had examples where they've had, through their chamber alliances, through their businesses and traders associations, that they have looked at subsidising the cost of car parks, which I know puts the unfair burden on the businesses, but we need solutions in this area. The parking we need to have parking charges, but we also need to provide solutions if the traders in Tralee believe that parking is the issue to stop people going into town. So I'd be happy to back anything that would see a solution to this, but I'm not going to come and say that parking can be abolished. I don't think it's a feasible thing that can have parking.
Is it a perception problem then? From what the other councillors have said that I spoke to, is it a perception problem that it's more difficult to get in and you have to pay a cost, whereas elsewhere, let's say Manor West, you don't have to? Is that part of the problem?
Absolutely. I think it's a perception problem, and I do hear a lot, that there isn't enough parking spaces in Tralee. I don't agree with that. I think there is a lot of parking spaces in Tralee, but most people, and I'm guilty of this myself, want to park at the doorstep of where they're going, want to go straight into the shop when it's not feasible. I suppose it's also, we need to have a conversation about what's the value proposition of going into the town centre versus what's the value proposition of going somewhere that's just a little bit easier to access, like Manor West. We need to have some creative solutions to bring the footfall back into the town, and I think the Chamber and the Council do have a role in this, but the traders need to really start thinking about what do they want and how are they going to get people back into the town centre.
Okay, I'm conscious of time, so we're going to move on to other issues here. Another question is, University Hospital Kerry, often criticised by many representatives. It's one of the largest employers in Tralee, provides crucial services to the county. What will you do if you get elected to support and stand up for the hospital? Norma Foley.
Question would imply that it's not fair or proper or right to criticise. I think
not necessarily. I mean, it does get its fair share of criticism. And look, yesterday it had a record number of people on Tralee, so it's a national element as well to this. But in terms of its place in Tralee,
absolutely,
what would you do
it is hugely important. And I think we would be unanimous in our agreement that a fair and equitable and accessible health service is hugely important. And the representation of that in Kerry is University Hospital. Having said that, there are both positives and negatives to it. I think it's hugely important as elected representatives that we highlight the positives, but that we're also to the forefront in highlighting what is not working, whether it's, as has already been outlined, people waiting on trolleys, whether it's, and you've mentioned parking earlier, the prohibitive cost of parking for people that are visiting those who are sick in hospital. We in Kerry County Council have worked very closely with management, with consultants, with frontline staff at Kerry University Hospital to improve accessibility, to improve fairness in the hospital. And I think it's an ongoing job. It's what we can do locally must be matched with what is needed resource-wise nationally. And I think it behoves us, because of the significance and importance of the hospital, to continue to push, not for just the maintenance of the hospital as it stands, but for the upgrading of facilities, consultant-led facilities, frontline staff, better working conditions for those who are there, and facilities for the people of this county who live here, and also for those who are visiting the county.
Okay, Bridget O'Brien, same question to you. What will you do for University Hospital Kerry to stand up for it and its place in Tralee?
As Norma has said, there are positives and negatives in the hospital. There are a number of issues that need to be addressed, both within the hospital and outside of it. If very recently, again, it's come to attention that the home helps that are allocated to older people are now being switched from one person to another. After a couple of months, they become key care workers for those older people. Now they're finishing up back in hospital again, so we have escalated the size of the wheel that's turning. We need to address that first. We need to find out why so many people are presenting a casualty, why they're waiting so long. We know that you can't get x-rays read on a Saturday night or Sunday night. Then the people who just need an x-ray to check if they have a fracture shouldn't be encouraged to go, and if they do present, they should be given their painkillers, strapped up and sent home.
Are you concerned about the possible downgrading of the hospital? A fear expressed by a lot of our Dáil deputies about the fact that it's so slow to recruit new consultants to Tralee. Lots of posts still vacant many years on after they were vacated.
In Ireland as a whole, there are 470 vacant consultant posts. There are 50 vacant consultant posts in pathology. Last summer alone, there was just one pathologist in Cork University Hospital serving the whole of Munster. Those are the issues that have created the stagnation that's within our health service. Okay. Those are the issues that have to be fixed.
Okay, Anne-Marie Fuller of the Green Party, what's your response to the University Hospital Kerry question?
As a public representative, I would try to support the hospital. I've been in the hospital. I've only been living in Tralee for 3 years, but I've been there a few times already, giving birth to my youngest daughter, and in A&E a couple of times. But I know the people there are working very hard and they're doing their best. And unfortunately, I think if we're all, what I would try to do is trying to talk to the patients and to the administrators and find out what the issues are. Obviously, it's not. I don't have a lot of expertise in this area, but I would try my best to support them in any way I could.
Okay, Pat Daly.
Could I just come in on that? I have noticed that canvassing the last 3 or 4 weeks around town that 99% of the people who deal with the hospital have a very, very positive experience, and what we shouldn't forget is that it's a great asset to the town. Loads of people working in town, and the staff there give so much back just from the park run and stuff like that. They really run it, and there is monumental praise for the work that's done by doctors, palliative care, orthopaedics, all throughout the hospital. And we hear a lot of negativity about the hospital in Tralee. I don't think sometimes we realise how lucky we are to have it on our doorstep in Tralee.
Okay, Sam Locke.
There are contentious issues there, and in relation to what public representatives can do to assist what's going on there. I called for the heads of departments there to meet up with us there, but unfortunately only 2 of the heads decided to make some kind of formal acknowledgement of it. We know that there are difficulties there, but as local representatives, I suppose, if we know what's going on the ground at that level, that we can try and go to our legislators to try and push the boat out and see and resolve some of the issues that are there. We know that they're in a difficult scenario over there. We know that people are overworked, and we need to try and establish it and keep and retain our hospital services here at the standard that it is, and improving it.
Okay, it's a national and local question. There's only so much a council can do, but from that point of view, the place the hospital holds as a huge employer in the town versus the problems that are right throughout our National Health Service that are affecting the 48 that were on trolleys.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a national issue, and I suppose the HSE and the Health Ministry, the system is being mismanaged, and we're seeing that here in Tralee. I have family who work in the hospital. My partner is a nurse, and I suppose you hear constantly that when something goes wrong, they're being told this information or this change is coming from Cork. Our hospital in Tralee is being managed from Cork. So how, I know Sammy Locke came up and said there a minute ago about the heads of department not being available. Who in the hospital is actually accountable to Kerry County Council? Because there is actually a remit there for our county to represent our people on the hospital and on the issue of healthcare, and they're not doing it. And the staff are under a humongous amount of strain. They can't, from everybody, nurses, healthcare assistants, doctors, even the admins, they're facing angry people every day, but then they do get a positive experience in the services. But I think the big issue is who is representing the hospital to Kerry County Council? Why is our hospital being managed from Cork? And why is nobody making any fuss about that?
Okay, all right, we're going to leave it there for the time being with these 6 candidates. Councillor Pat Daly of Sinn Féin, Councillor Norma Foley of Fianna Fáil, Bridget O'Brien running for Fine Gael, Ben Slim running for Labour, Councillor Sam Locke, Independent Councillor on Kerry County Council, and Anne-Marie Fuller, who's running for the Green Party. We'll hear from them again around about 10:30 when we'll have all our candidates open to questions about the major issues that matter to you. You're listening to Kerry Today. Jerry O'Sullivan with you until 11 o'clock this morning with our pre-election forum for Tralee here in the Rose Hotel. We'll have 6 more candidates to hear from next. We've got our next 6 candidates with us now. We have Teresa Ferris, who's a councillor with Sinn Féin, Johnny Wall, former councillor and candidate for Fianna Fáil this time round, Councillor Jim Finucane of Fine Gael, we've Councillor Terry O'Brien from the Labour Party, we've Yvonne Deneen, who's an independent candidate, and we've Mikey Sheehy, who's running for Fianna Fáil. I'm going to start with you, Jim Finucane of Fine Gael. Give me your 1 minute, please, of why people should vote for you.
Thanks, Jerry. My name is Jim Finucane. I'm a sitting councillor. I'm chairman of the Economic Development SPC, and I'm also chairman of Kerry Educational Training Board. I believe in public service. I'm project driven. Over the last number of years, I have been a strong supporter and advocate of the Shannon LNG project. My aim and ambition for not alone the town but for the region is to bring immigrants back. That project has the capacity to be a game changer, provide 1,000 jobs and over €1 billion investment in North Kerry. As chairman of Kerry Educational Training Board, along with my colleague Terry O'Brien, we have brought a town centre campus through Tralee. On the 2nd of May, we'll have a sod turning on the Gael cost of €15 million project, and we've seen the conclusion of €1 million extension. Politics should be about change, and it's about delivering to the people. My main priority going forward is the mental health of our young people. I have concerns, particularly as somebody who sees education as a lifetime commitment and a lifetime opportunity.
Okay. All right, we're going to have to leave it there with you. Next up, we have Sinn Féin councillor Teresa Ferris. Teresa.
Well, Jerry, I've been a voice for the people of Kerry and for Tralee on Kerry County Council for nearly 16 years now, and I must say I've been humbled over the last few weeks going door to door for the fact that people consistently recognise that for those 16 years I have been honest and hardworking, and they were the 2 objectives I set out for myself. I also have a vision and ambition for our town and for our county as a whole, and I'm delighted that in fairness as a municipal district all 7 of us or 9 of us as it is work together with the best interests of the town and the surrounding areas at our heart. So all I want to say to your listeners this morning is that if you want people who will ask the hard questions but also won't shy away from the hard decisions, please vote number 1 and 2 for Ferris and Daly.
Okay, all right, that's Teresa Ferris of Sinn Féin. Next up is Johnny Wall, who's running for Fianna Fáil.
My name is Johnny Wall. I'm one of the 3 Fianna Fáil candidates running in this election. I'm a proud Tralee man, born and reared in Mitchell's Crescent, the oldest of 10 children. Spent the early years of my life in a band called the DJ and the Kerry Blues. First elected in 1985 to the town council. I spent 29 years there, worked with some great councillors over the years. I think we achieved quite a lot. Since I lost my seat in 2014, I've stayed involved with the community in the Community Training Centre. I've been involved in Cúnamh, the regeneration of the Mitchell's area with the calendar every year. I also organise the St. Patrick's Day Parade, as you all know, every year. I've also been to Silicon Valley to meet technology companies to see can I convince them to come to Tralee. I've done that on the basis. My real reason for going forward is that the abolition of Tralee Town Council had a negative effect on the town. People don't feel represented anymore. I do feel like that this council needs a dedicated focus on our town.
We're going to have to leave it there.
What I want to say is...
Very brief, Johnny, we're out of time. We're out of time. I'm going to have to stop you there. You'll have another chance to get in. That's Johnny Wall of Fianna Fáil. We also have Terry O'Brien of the Labour Party. Terry.
Morning, Jerry. Morning to your listeners. My name is Terry O'Brien. I'm celebrating my 20th year as a public representative. I enjoy the challenge. I'm very involved with education and the youth. I'm a member of the governing body of the IT for many years now, and have been. I was chair for the last 3 years that involved the negotiations to deliver a Munster Technological University virtually. Which is nearly there. I've worked closely with Councillor Jim Finucane in delivering much more footfall for the town centre in the Kerry College for Higher Education, moving North Campus down there. I enjoy the challenge of local politics. I'm enjoying the going back on the hustings, out canvassing. I'm getting very positive feedback from people in relation to the town and what's happening in the town. And I think this council has been together, has been united for the last 5 years. And again, I'd look forward to serving another 5 years and asking people at the end of May to consider me for their vote.
Okay, Terry O'Brien of the Labour Party. Up next we have Yvonne Deneen, independent candidate. Yvonne.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Yvonne Deneen. I'm a first-time candidate and I'm running as an independent. I was brought up in Tralee and I moved to London in the 1980s. During my time in London, I worked in the food and drinks industry and was the relief manager of a tavern group and the leaseholder of a pub in North London. I met my partner in London and we had 2 grown-up children and 2 teenagers. My family and I moved back to Tralee in 2001. I continued to work in the hospitality industry and again I took on the leasehold of a pub in Tralee. Other work experience includes catering and healthcare assistance. I am founder of the Happy Memory store in Courthouse Lane, and it's through my voluntary work that I have gained a vast knowledge of the needs of people and the needs of the community. It is very frustrating when I have the will to assist people and implement ideas. However, because I don't have a mandate, I don't have a voice. I am calling on the Tralee electorate to vote for me and give me a mandate to represent them.
Okay, thanks very much for that, Yvonne. And next up we have Mikey Sheehy, who is running for Fianna Fáil.
Thanks, Jerry. I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank the Tralee Chamber Alliance for allowing us the opportunity to put forward our vision of Tralee. My name is Mikey Sheehy and I'm a first-time candidate for Fianna Fáil. I'm very proud to have been selected by the party to run in the local elections. The Sheehy family has always had strong links to Fianna Fáil. Through my late grandfather Jim Sheehy and my own father Mikey Sheehy. And it's as a result of this that I've always had a passion for politics. I was born and reared in Tralee and I now have a young family in the town. I'm married to Suzanne, who is a Tralee native also, and I'm a proud father of 3 young girls, Roisin, Alva and Cara. It's my commitment to work for them and for the town of Tralee, the community of Tralee, young and old, and to provide a fresh outlook on local issues. I will strive to bring a new and energetic perspective to revitalising and regenerating the town. Having a young family, I would love to afford them the opportunity to live in Tralee when they decide to settle down. However, this can only be achieved through the growth of the town and services provided. I'd like to wish all of my colleagues the very best luck in next month's elections, but I'd obviously
we're going to have to leave it there.
I'd ask for my number 1.
We're going to have to leave it there. Mikey Sheehy of Fianna Fáil. If you have a view on anything that they have said thus far, get in touch with us on the programme this morning. We're going to be getting into the issues with these 6 candidates after we take these. We have 6 of the candidates who are asking for your votes in the local elections on May 23rd. Taoiseach Ferris of Sinn Féin, Johnny Wall of Fianna Fáil, Jim Finucane Fine Gael, Terry O'Brien of Labour, Yvonne Deneen, Independent, and Mikey Sheehy of Fianna Fáil up on stage with us here. We're going to talk next about an issue that affects every aspect of life here, employment, jobs, the retail sector, enterprise, people looking to start off in jobs, and that's the issue of rising insurance costs. Tourism, hospitality and activities are the largest direct employer in the county. The recent VAT increase, rising insurance costs and other issues such as Brexit are overly impacting Kerry as a county. Would you support a rates alleviation in Kerry specifically for this sector? Taoiseach Ferris, I'll start with you.
Well, to start with, we have supported rates reduction. In fact, there's an initiative that the Tralee councillors came up with that was launched yesterday, where all of the vacant premises in the town or in certain parts of the town that need rejuvenation will get that rates reduction. The difficulty I have with introducing a rates reduction overall, and it's not going to be popular with the audience here, is the vast majority of the income the Kerry County Council get from rates come from big, massive entities like our banks and massive massive retailers. So if we introduce an overall reduction, it means they that are multi-million and multi-billion euro profitable companies also benefit from that reduction. So what we introduced at Kerry County Council level, and we pushed for collectively, was that any business in the town centre that is struggling and that can prove evidence of that to Kerry County Council, they on an individual basis will get a reduction. So it doesn't impact on the money that we have to deliver services for all the businesses and all the residents.
Will that deliver on the vacant shops that we see in some places along Tralee? Will it help get people into there? Because it's been tried before in certain ways, and it hasn't worked as maybe as people would have hoped. So with this new scheme now that was launched yesterday, the business incentive scheme, will that work?
We'll see. The difficulty and where we're hamstrung, and this is what we said at the time, is we have no control over rents, and rents are a far bigger issue for businesses than rates. Rates are part of the problem, but until we can get a handle on rents, and that's going to be developed at a national level, and hopefully there will be movement there. I mean, we have a premises in the town centre, a central premises that we have been fighting for years for Kerry County Council to impose full rates on, because it is vacant, and it is deliberately vacant because the persons that own it don't want competition to adversely impact on a business they have located elsewhere. So there are ways at local level that we can incentivise and that we can help develop the town centre, but the biggest impediment for new businesses is the rate of rent, and that is something that has to be dealt with through national legislation.
Terry O'Brien, same question to you. Rates relief.
Rates relief. I think if things start going wrong, we're very fast to say, oh, the rates are killing the businesses. I have to concur. A major problem with Tralee Town Centre is rents, and a lot of properties on it would be, I suppose, family owned and owned for many years. So, I suppose the proprietors can pick and choose as to whether they want to rent their premises or not. The particular initiative that we've tried to move again with this council in rate relief, we're hoping it'll be effective. We did run something like this before. I think when we ran before, Jerry, maybe the economy wasn't beginning to bounce back like it is now. So I'm not sure if it was the right time before. I think it is now. I think Tralee Town Centre itself is picking up. I personally believe, and I know in the documentation we get out, that there's a question about the pedestrianisation not working. I believe that the town centre is picking up. I believe there's a buzz there. I was down again the weekend with my kids, and the town centre was absolutely flying down there. So I do think that this rate incentive will work. We hope it does. It's unfortunately for the existing businesses, it's more to get new businesses in to pick up on the vacant shops that are the vacant sites that are in the town centre. So I suppose we can only hope that particular initiative will work.
Okay, Mikey Sheehy, can I get your answer to that question about what to do on rates?
Look, I suppose, Jerry, if you break down the question, the recent VAT increase is a nationwide issue. Brexit is a cross-sector issue, and rising insurance costs hopefully are going to be discussed a little bit more after media coverage recently. I would absolutely agree with Teresa and Terry. I'm not sure if a specific sector. I'd agree with Tricia and Terry that an alleviation of a specific sector in terms of rates mightn't be a good route to go down. But I also fully concur that where a business is struggling, under no circumstance should pressure from rates be the cause of the closure of a business.
Okay, all right. We're going to move on to another issue now, and this is the issue of housing. Tralee needs an ambitious and immediate building programme to provide large, modern commercial properties in the town centre, and also an expansive housing programme to tackle the rent and the housing crises that are there. Jim Finucane, what are your views on this, and how would you support it?
Yeah, there are a number of issues. The County Council have a building programme over the next 2 to 3 years to build 350 houses, but at the moment in the market there's no private construction. There are no builders in Tralee building private schemes. There are 2 reasons for that. One is the difficulties in bank and lending to small to medium builders. The government, and this is something I was involved in, have set up a new housing finance agency that will lend up to 30 million or 80% of the cost, but it's for schemes from 10 houses upwards. Now, I've made representations to the Minister, I've raised at the council level that should be reduced to 5 houses. So we need to break that cycle. But one of the things that's contributing to the housing crisis, particularly in towns like Tralee, because the private sector build houses, if they're not building, where do people go to rent houses? So it's a knock-on effect. And again, you have to take into account the whole job situation as well. We need a game changer in North Kerry and in Tralee from the point of view of employment. And we need to help those small to medium builders who, some of these people, and we've come out of an economic difficulty, but both, not alone builders, but people, but there's still a residue of debt that people are carrying and small to medium businesses are carrying. And that's still an issue for a lot of people. So I think the situation is that we need to get to a stage, and builders would tell me at the moment, it doesn't pay, particularly with the new building regulations that have been introduced, that the cost of building is not paying for what, and I'm an auctioneer, what I can sell a second-hand house for. There are issues, but one of the issues that has to be addressed is, number one, the employment, and number two is bringing the private building firms back into the building sector to build new homes in Tralee. It's simply not just the responsibility of the local authority to build houses.
More public-private partnerships?
Absolutely, and we have to look at schemes, and it's one of the aspects of this is, Jerry, and everybody listening here today, you know, from the point of view of employment, and I've been chairman of the SPC, that we need a game changer in North Kerry. We need to bring people, we need to bring skilled people back. People are talking about bringing back nurses for our medical, but unless you give them an incentive to come back, unless you give them a reasonable chance of medium to long-term employment, people that have left this country are not going to come back. But it's the critical mass at the moment is to bring the private sector back into construction.
Okay, Johnny Wall, same question to you. How do we solve the housing crisis and get things developing in commercial building?
It would be nearly impossible to solve the housing crisis, but it started with the breakdown 2008 when private dwellings went into negative equity. And the government decided the best way was not to build houses, but to rent these out to people. Now, negative equity has finished, and I know heard of 3 families recently in the last month who have to get out because their house has been sold. Now, the government will have to step up to the line because they've not built houses for the last 10 years. They've been very negative about it. They're not doing nothing. People are stuck in hotels, they're stuck in flats, they can't get out of it. And I think the government will have to step up. The council will have to demand money and build houses like they did back in the early days. As regards employment, we do have employment. In particular, I've gone to the Bay Area in California for the last 3 years. I've met members of technology companies, VMware, Qualduff, Cadence. Cadence have a big office in Dublin. They have 2 offices, large offices in Cork. They're trying to expand. They find it very expensive to do so in Dublin and in Cork. And they need to get people in. A lot of these companies diversify a lot. They employ young people and they're going very well. But when people start to reach around the age of 30, they want out in the community, they'd like to move out. So these companies would be open, I would think, to coming to Tralee, because you would be...
So there's a place to live for you if you're an older employee, you want a better quality of life, somewhere to raise your children.
Yeah,
Tralee's the option.
These companies would be open to that, and you could set up a kind of a system like Kerry Plus. Come to Kerry, you can work in Dublin, in the main office, but you can work in Kerry.
Okay, all right. Yvonne Deneen, your response to that?
Yeah, it's very difficult to sit here and come up with ideas to build on commercials, especially. Is there something on my microphone?
No, you can pull it a little bit closer to yourself.
Sorry. Yeah, because of the other issues we have, unregulated rents and insurance costs, utilities increases, there's very little disposable income there. So until we fix these other issues, it's hard to think about building more commercial buildings. We need to look at the businesses, look after the businesses that are already established, and build houses, build social and affordable houses. Identify vacant properties as well and get working on those.
Would you like to see more finance going to the council in relation to that, maybe to get the number of vacant properties back into habitable status?
Yes, yeah, and as Teresa said there, the rates maybe penalise those vacant properties.
Okay, all right. We're going to move on to another issue now, and that is the whole area of attracting good quality jobs into Tralee. We've got a Kerry Technology Park. We have some development over the last number of years of foreign direct companies coming in here, maybe on a smaller scale. What needs to be done now, or is it more of a question of devoting our resources into self-starting rather than looking for this one magic solution of a Google to set up in Tralee? Teresa Ferris.
Yeah, and I think if we learned anything from the recession, we learned the importance of our small and medium enterprises and how loyal they are to the community and their employees, as opposed to these big multinationals, while we would like them, coming in and creating a couple of hundred jobs and then maybe moving on when there's a more attractive location. But coming back to what you were just talking about there, Jerry, and Ken and I have discussed this in great detail, we are not going to achieve an environment that is conducive to increased job creation unless we get a handle on the housing situation in this county. How can we attract people to come and invest and work in this county if there isn't anywhere of a good standard for them to live? And, you know, I could talk for the next hour about solutions to that, but very simple things that should be done and have been proposed. Kerry County Council need to purchase one of those buildings on Denny Street and convert it into apartments so that we will have a thriving town centre where people both work and live, and the living aspect is what we've missed. On the island of the Geese, there needs to be social housing there as well. And in addition to that, I mean, I proposed in Kerry County Council nearly 5 years ago, and the Sinn Féin team were the only ones that backed it, to take 2 million out of our reserve funding, buy properties that were only €40,000 at that time, and ring fence the rental income to buy more properties. This was before government actually gave us money to purchase and build. They didn't do it, and Kerry County Council are now paying through HAP €800 and €900 rent a month for those houses. And while we have people languishing in
missed opportunities, what you're saying.
But there are opportunities now they can't miss out on.
Terry O'Brien, your response to that question?
Yeah, I suppose really, Joy, we need to be more focused. We need to look at what we can offer. Again, with the IT, we need to sit down with potential employers and I suppose gear our students for what we need here. We have loads of sites here. We have huge potential in Tralee. Unfortunately, we're just, I don't think we're getting a fair crack at it from the IDA. I believe the number of visits are pathetic again this year, and unless we're getting support from the IDA bringing people down, I don't think the Kerry people ever had a problem with selling themselves or selling ourselves here in Tralee. The problem is...
Does it have a perception problem though on that? 10 years ago there was a report done about Tralee, and one of the biggest issues they said was it needs to be developed as an idea in people's mind, as somewhere to go to visit, a destination. The work's been done over the last number of years to try and make that a reality, but in terms of a destination where you want to live, where you want to raise your children, does more need to be done?
Absolutely, Joe, I have no problem with that. Tralee was always a manufacturing town. Those days are gone. We're not going to be manufacturing anymore. We can't compete with these countries, India and China, that are offering pittance for these jobs. So we have to look at ourselves. We have to be serious about what we can do. We have a technology park in Tralee we need to develop. There was an announcement of jobs recently. I don't think they're the high-spec jobs that we needed for that particular development, but I suppose we would take any jobs. But again, Jerry, it's like Tralee has always, as I said, been a workers' town, so we need to look at that again and encourage people in that we have the sites in our industrial estates sitting idle, so we need to, like the head of the idea is a Kerryman, so I'm wondering to say, he must remember where we are.
Yeah, he's from Abbeydorney, so I'm sure he knows where Tralee is, but we'll talk a bit more about that. We'll get some more of our candidates back in for more discussion on the questions that you want answered. If you've a view, get in touch with us in the programme. We'll have more after we take these. Okay, you're listening to Kerry Today. This is Jerry O'Sullivan with you until 11 o'clock this morning. We're at the pre-election forum here in the Rose Hotel in Tralee, organised by the Tralee Chamber Alliance with the support of Casey Stephenson Accountants. We have all 12 of the candidates. Well, we've actually got 11 now. Councillor Pat Daly had to go for the day job for court in Carsabeen, so he's had to make his apologies and leave. And we've got, of course, I have to mention Beck Fahy, of course, of People for Profit, who couldn't make it here this morning, but will be one of the candidates looking for your vote in the local election on the 23rd of May. But we've all our candidates up here on stage with us now to talk about issues to do with how Tralee develops, or their ideas, and how they develop those ideas and try and get Tralee moving, and why they want your number one vote. I'm going to go back to that question I asked of some of our candidates as well, with some more of our candidates that have joined us, in relation to how Tralee develops in terms of attracting jobs, or develops as a location where it can sell what it has to people and companies, maybe not the huge global corporations, but companies that decide that they want to move here because of what Tralee has to offer and what Kerry has to offer for quality of life. It helps with things like job retention, the turnover of staff. If you have happy, settled staff with their families, they're less likely to move around and create a problem for you as an employer, having to find new staff and train them up. I'll start with you on this, Johnny Wall. What's your ideas in that area?
Well, I'll tell you that in 2013, as Mayor of Tralee, we visited Westlake, and I met the American Car Company at the time, and they were very interested in expanding into Tralee over the tax system. When I got back, I wrote a big long letter to them explaining everything about Tralee and why they should come here, about our environment, our infrastructure, etc., and the quality of our students. I got no reply. But the big thing about that was there was nobody to follow it up. In the last 2 years, I met technology companies and representatives in Silicon Valley who are interested in coming to Tralee, or not coming to Tralee, but coming to Ireland. We need this. We have a big Denny site below. It's empty. It's a fine site for the technology family, for a technology factory, because it's right in the heart of the town. It's a clean industry. What we need to do is get somebody dedicated and hire them by the town council to go out and sell Tralee. We're not selling our town itself. The idea of selling everything else but our town. If we want our town to expand, we have to do it ourselves.
Okay, Anne-Marie Fuller, same point to you. What would you do to sell Tralee to businesses and employees and people who want to come and start up a business here?
Essentially, people want to come to, if they want to come to Tralee, they're going to look at Tralee and they're going to look around, and unfortunately Tralee looks a little bit scruffy. There's been great work done in Milk Lane and, you know, Madden's and all the kind of murals that have been. We need a lot more of that. We need essentially, you know, a couple of million. We could paint the town loads of different colours. We could put lots of trees in, lots of biodiversity, lots of planting, and Tralee would look amazing and fabulous. We already have loads of things going on, events and lots of activities for families. I originally moved to Kenmare from Scotland because I thought Kenmare looked pretty. I realised it didn't actually have all the facilities needed. I love living in Tralee because there's so much to do. We just need to promote those events to the broader world, but actually just, you know, we've a lot litter problems in Tralee as well. We just need to kind of work on those, and I don't think it would take a lot of investment. But what we do need investment for is in jobs, and I really want to bring the circular economy to Tralee, and that is also going to help deal with our waste jobs, but it's also going to bring innovation. There's going to be new design jobs, selling jobs. We need to change the way we manufacture and make things. The supply chains that are global at the moment are going to have to be shortened, and that actually brings a lot of manufacturing opportunities to Tralee, where we're going to remake things in Tralee.
Similar question, but the issue for Tralee as well, Mikey Shea, Fianna Fáil, is that it's got a long-term unemployment problem. It's high levels of long-term unemployment, and it's been a tough nut to crack over the years. How do you see that one being changed by the next council, or what will you do to change that one?
Absolutely. I suppose when you look at the economy of Tralee, we're much like the Irish economy. We're a small, open economy. We're heavily reliant on FDI. From external companies and from external sources. I suppose the first thing that those companies look at before moving to Tralee is all the provision of services within the town: housing, education, healthcare. Obviously, we have a major housing issue in the town. It seems to me that the council have turned into a council of announcements rather than activity. We had 56 units announced in Connolly Park in September 2017, and to my eyes there's been no movement on it since. Unfortunately, we don't have a functioning healthcare service in the form of UHK at the moment. I myself have personal experience from the hospital. The staff are phenomenal inside in that facility, but unfortunately they're working in second-class facilities. All of these are issues that companies looking to move to Tralee are looking at. They're looking at the overall picture and the overall brand of Tralee. As a council, we have to be more proactive rather than reactive.
So unless you get that right, you won't attract the companies. Sam Locke, same point to you. What needs to be done? A lot of criticism for former work of the council here, not enough being done in this area. What's your view on it? Well, how do we tackle the long-term unemployment issue?
One of the greatest issues, I suppose, that we're all confronted with here is infrastructure, and I suppose connectivity is one of those things. Most recently, I think the government are looking at one of the views of that kind of connectivity into Amsterdam from Kerry Regional Airport. If you've got that kind of connectivity, you're going to have a balance where you would get investors into the town where the world is wide open to them. That needs to be put in place. And having that kind of connectivity for Farm 4, which is only a 20-minute drive out the road, will attract more infrastructure and business into the town. The town is being criticised there by some members of the panel here in relation to its beauty, its enhancement. Over the last number of years, we've achieved gold medals, purple flags, blue flags in our status. Tralee is a vibrant, beautiful town. Business people have come on board through the Tidy Towns initiative. They're doing it themselves. They're promoting themselves. They're starting to promote themselves.
Okay.
The job creation within that and the feel-good factor within that, a lot of businesses now are coming on board. You have new coffee shops, they're enhancing, they're holding on to their staff, and they are encouraging more people to get involved in that.
Just to clarify one thing, Simon, when a listener has asked in relation to your own position running to the council, you're running as an independent candidate, but you're part of supporting the Healy Ray political organisation, shall we say. Is that the position?
My name is Sam Locke. Not Sam Healy-Ray.
So you're not independent Healy-Ray, you're independent is what you're saying.
Excuse me, my name is Sam Locke. Okay. I have always operated under that ticket. And before Michael Healy-Ray and myself started running clinics together, collectively, that we operate and collate with each other on national issues, he is a good friend to have. When I have national issues to be addressed, that I can pick up the phone and phone Deputy Healy-Ray and he would make inroads in that.
Okay, so that's the relationship.
Said, my name is Sam Locke, not Sammy Healy-Ray.
Okay, all right, very good. Are people calling you Sammy Healy-Ray?
Well, I suppose the likes of yourself, Johnny.
No, I haven't said. I'm just wondering in the doorsteps maybe.
It has come across, even in chamber.
Sure. The long-term unemployment problem, particularly I suppose for younger people out there, they can't get on the housing ladder, they can't find good quality jobs. We're training a lot of them to leave, unfortunately. How would you try and tackle that as a councillor if you were elected?
Yeah, so I suppose just to the idea of high-value jobs coming to Tralee, before I go into that, I suppose it's the cart before the horse argument that we're talking about here. We need to make Tralee a desirable place for young people to live and work. And at the moment, I hear back all the time that once I'm finished my studies here, I want to get out of Tralee. And that's something we need to change. High-value employment is not going to come here until the skilled graduates decide they want to stay here. That's the cart. That's the horse, and the cart is coming. We're putting the cart first by saying strategies for high value employment. On unemployment, I suppose I was in the lucky position that for 2 years I was president of the IT Tralee Students' Union, and during that time we saw a problem in Tralee, in Kerry, where enrolments were dropping because we had an older population, people were leaving, and we diversified. I was part of that group that worked on Springboard, which is our lifelong learning programme, and we managed to roll out lifelong learning programmes to reduce unemployment. The only way we're going to reduce unemployment is to create skilled graduates, because the employment that is available is no longer manufacturing jobs and unskilled work.
Okay, all right, we're going to have to move on to another issue, because I'm conscious of the time that we have left here. One of the biggest developments in Tralee over the last number of years has been an improvement of Denny Street and the Mall, the pedestrianisation of that. And linked onto that now is the Island of Geese. It's given to the people of Kerry, the people of Tralee, by Kerry Group over 2 years ago. We're still in phases of development. I think we've moved on to the second phase of that. What would you like to see go in there? And it's tied into, I suppose, the question of the future of the courthouse and how the centre of Tralee is going to be managed. Bridget O'Brien, I'll ask you first. What's your view on where we are and what you'd like to see in the Island of Geese?
Well, I guess to address your previous question first,
I know
very briefly, but I'd like to say I have 4 children. 2 of them have chosen to come back to Tralee. My son set up a new premises, beautiful, state-of-the-art health system, 9 people working in it. My daughter took over my old premises and now has 3 people working. That's how we get forward. They like Tralee, they love it, and I did. So it's by saying no. Well, in the Island of Geese, we obviously need more accommodation, and we need to put in a very nice state-of-the-art building in there.
Okay, Jim Finucane, question to you, same question to you, the future for the Island of Geese, where we are in the process and what you'd like to see the finished product looking like for the town.
Yeah. And it relates to those, because we have a number of assets the council had. For example, the Fells Point site here, and I've stressed at council level that sites that the council have ownership, that we have to maximise them for job creation. You asked me about the island of Geese. I know that the council is considering an application for an office development, and I think that will be crucial development. Should there be housing in it? Absolutely, there should be. Should the courthouse move to it? I'm on the record as saying it should. That present courthouse, according to the judge, is not fit for purpose. The Minister has assured me there's 22 million of a fund to build a new purpose built. That would take, and could I say this, Jerry, and as somebody who has used it in my work as evaluate even family, the conditions of people, particularly in convict family law, to have an experience at that courthouse, for some people it's frightening.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's not an asset to the town. The OPW have made a commitment to maintain it. I have proposed that it should be used as a civic centre, an arts centre, to develop other activities. But it is not an attraction, and it's not drawing people into our town.
Okay, all right, fair enough point. We're going to talk more about this. I'm going to get some of the candidates I haven't had a chance to get to in this section to next. We're going to get to those after we take these. Okay, we're here in the Rose Hotel in Tralee. You're listening to Kerry Today. We have our pre-election forum of candidates in association with the Tralee Chamber Alliance and with the support of Casey Stephenson Accountants. We have 11 of our candidates who are running in the election to talk to. I'm going to ask the question on the island of Geese. We've been talking about the future of it, the courthouse as well. What should be there? Norma Foley, Fianna Fáil, what's your view?
Well, Jerry, it comes back to, I suppose, the points and the questions that you've been asking earlier. It's all interrelated, what we're hoping to do and achieve with the island of Geese. Tralee, as the capital town of the county, is a fantastic town in which to live, to work and to do business. Our aim and objective as a local authority is to present that as a package deal to those who wish to come. We have fantastic amenities, and people have referenced already the purple flag, gold medals, amenities like the Tree Phoenix Greenway, heavily invested in by this present local government. But I will say the development of the island of Geese will be the icing on the cake for us. I think it has the potential to have a thriving element within the town centre that would include 30% public realm, which would be public spaces, green spaces, open spaces, an element of social housing, which has been heavily pushed by this local authority, creative arts, digital hubs, start-up company hubs, a whole multifaceted area within the town centre that will then lend weight.
Courthouse question?
Well, personally, on the courthouse, I would prefer that the courthouse stays in the position that it is presently. I think with creativity and imagination, it can be upgraded to the facility that it should be. I think the island of Geese, there's a huge public engagement with it. It went to public consultation. Not once was there a reference to the courthouse being put in to that public space, which was actually gifted to the people of Tralee. So I would be very reluctant to see it go in there. I would like to see it upgrade, the courthouse upgrade.
I'm going to bring in Terry O'Brien in a moment, but Tricia Ferris, your view on that. Your party's been pretty strong in saying no move for the courthouse.
Yeah, I have far more ambition for that site than to simply relocate an existing service and then leave the building on Ash Street vacant and falling into disrepair, because it will take an awful lot of money for the local authority to do anything with that. And I think it just comes back to the vision we have for the town, and I think that the Island of the Geese is going to be central to that. And I think, coming back to earlier things, I think we need to be a bit more positive about what we have. And in fairness to the Chamber Alliance, I think that the campaign over the last while, I mean, that video that Elaine Kinsella did, showing the world what Tralee has to offer as a location to live and to work, has been incredible. And outside of the public service, probably one of the biggest employers and businesses sectors in the town would be retail. And we have been working with the Chamber Alliance on looking at trying to develop a virtual Tralee so that the businesses in Tralee can benefit from some of the increasing market that now is online shopping.
Terry O'Brien, same point to you.
Yeah, Joey, you know, if I was at home this morning listening to the radio for the first time, I'd say, geez, I want to stay away from Tralee. We're giving Tralee a bad rap here. Tralee is a great town. Tralee is as good a town as any similar size in this country. As for the courthouse, be very, very slow about just taking the courthouse and sticking it in the Isle of Geese, because the department were able to put 34 million into a similar courthouse in Cork, but they can't do it in Kerry, so we have to look at our legislators.
Would we be bailing out the Department of Justice, the Court Service of Ireland?
I'm not sure, but I just don't want to leave an eyesore of a building. It's a fabulous building. It needs to be renovated and upgraded, but I certainly wouldn't close the door and take over the Isle of Geese with a courthouse. But please, Jerry, there's on about litter here this morning. Our town is a clean, very, very clean town. And around about building, you can't just build 56 houses at the drop of a hat. There's a process to go through. We need to start building, but there is a process to go through.
Is the process too slow?
Oh, absolutely, but it's there.
All right, Anne-Marie Fuller,
if our state legislators might move and do something besides John Delaney.
You're with the Green Party. You're very involved in developing urban centres. What's your view on how the Island of Geese should go?
Actually, I agree with Norma and Teresa about the plans that are there. I don't think that the courthouse should be put in that area. I think, again, it'll just leave another white elephant on Ash Street, and that'll just be a derelict building that, that's a great heritage building, and we need to renovate it and keep it in operation. And then exactly, all the ideas that are there for the Island of Geese, that piece of land was gifted to Tralee people, and we need to make sure that it serves the Tralee people with social housing, with spaces for communities to get involved, and for remote working spaces where we can do innovation and different crafts and things like that, and make it a really interesting space for the community of Tralee.
Okay, Yvonne Deneen, independent candidate, what's your view on what should go in there?
Yes,
and the courthouse question?
Yeah, I agree with most up here. The courthouse should stay where it is. If it was to be moved, it would have a negative impact on the businesses that are already established up there. So I would be in favour of leaving that there, and in favour of building social housing and a recreational space in the Island of Geese.
Okay, Mikey Sheehy, Fianna Fáil, your response to that?
I suppose the main point I'd make around the court service and the courthouse in the centre of town is, like Jim Finucane suggested earlier on, it's been declared that it's not fit for purpose at the moment, and unfortunately there's not enough development space in around the courthouse to extend it further. The Island of Geese offers a great opportunity, like Norma Foley just stated there earlier. I mean, it's been gifted to the people of Tralee, but by going down the route of transferring the court services down there, it'll obviously generate a revenue for the council to further extend the site.
Okay, all right. That's where we're going to have to leave it for this morning with our candidates. We will get back to more on Tralee in Radio Kerry's coverage in the build-up to the local elections. Johnny Wall, one very brief word. We're running short of time. Your response, quickly.
The Island of Geese.
Yes.
Because
very quickly.
That's my earlier suggestion about getting a technology firm. We should give that site away for nothing to anybody who will come here and provide jobs. Okay. And the courthouse. There was a plan for the courthouse and police station to move up to the army barracks long ago. I don't know if that's still viable, but it would provide a lot of work there.
Okay, all right, that's Johnny Wall there. Okay, I want to bring in finally Ken Tobin, the CEO of the Tralee Chamber Alliance, helping organise this morning's event. Ken, we'll talk a bit about what's going to happen, I suppose, on Facebook later with the recording of this, but your response to this morning and what you've heard from the candidates for Tralee businesses?
Optimistic is what I can say. I mean, I think we can acknowledge that we have 12 of the 13 very strong candidates here this morning, and they've stated their case for the town. I think over the next 5 years we need huge ambition for Tralee. At the start, Aidan mentioned how we need to work cohesively and in partnership with all stakeholders in the town. Over the next 5 years, the proof will be in the pudding on how our town develops. We've got a tough job in our hands. If you look at the investment strategy from the national government for the next 12 years, it's all focused on the Waterford, Limerick, Cork corridor. Kerry effectively has been cut off and will be cut off from national investment and funding. And the only way we'll get that in is by working together.
Okay. Do you think that that idea that more power needs to go to local authorities is a central one, given that reality or that fear that national funding will go to the cities that surround us instead of into Kerry?
Yeah, but we have to deal with the cards that have been dealt to us. And if that means we have to go up to Dublin and shout even louder for what we need for the county, then that's what we'll do. A big part of the role that the Chamber and I've been doing over the past 12 months is lobbying in national government. Last week I met with Heather Humphreys in relation to trying to attract additional FDI down here. It's right, we aren't getting our fair shake of companies coming down. The company that's moving into the Central Pharma Company is a start, but it's a small start for what the town needs going forward over the next 5 years.
Okay, all right, listen, we're out of time. My thanks to all of the candidates who have joined us this morning and answered your questions. You'll be seeing a lot more of them in terms of posters and hearing a lot more of them on Radio Kerry over the next couple of weeks. We'll be talking again about Tralee and the election ahead of that. Just to let you know, a recording of this morning's pre-election forum will be on Radio Kerry's Facebook site later, so if you missed it or want to watch it again, check it out there. My thanks to the audience here for being very patient and very quiet during all the proceedings. I'll talk to you tomorrow morning with another Kerry Today.